Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're explaining homeostasis, reflex control pathway, negative and positive feedback loops. I know I have another video on my channel that kind of explains this. This is going to be a little bit more condensed. I know I got a lot of comments out there that asked for a more condensed version of this. So yeah, let's just go straight to it. Let's do homeostasis. So a good example of homeostasis would be, well, let me just explain it really quick and fast. Homeostasis is the body's ability to be able to go back to a set point. And like you might be like, well, what does a set point mean? Well, let's look right here. So let's do like body temperature as an example. So let's just do temp right here, and then let's just do time. And the units don't really matter, even though this will be in Fahrenheit. So let's just say 98 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's just keep it as simple as possible. 98.6 is just like an average of things throughout time and stuff. So I live in Rexburg, Idaho right now. It's January, and I walked outside. It's 7. I walked outside about 7 a.m. and it's like 20 degrees outside, right? So it's pretty cold. So when you walk outside, the body's like, this is pretty cold. How am I going to keep my body temperature at, roughly 98 degrees? So say, yeah, this is the set point. Let's just draw a dotted line right here. I walk outside, boom, it's right here. So my body's like, well, I need to get back to this area. So it starts shivering. I start, my body starts moving up. My brain tells my body to get a jacket on. Like I shouldn't be going outside shirtless or whatever. And then I go here and here and here, over time. And so the body kind of maintains this, you can kind of see this range right here. And that's pretty much homeostasis, is so that we don't really get too far out of anything. And so there's kind of some vocabulary that I'll explain with this. And the main idea of the vocabulary is reflex control pathway. And this reflex control pathway offers a couple things. So if we keep the idea of temperature, we could say, so no matter what, there's a stimulus. I'm not that good at spelling. And there's a receptor, and there's an afferent, a control center, an efferent, and an effector, right? So let me write all these up there. This is kind of what happens. So these are the vocabulary: stimulus, receptor, afferent, control center, efferent, effector. So for example, if we did temperature, the stimulus would be cold weather. And then the receptor would be like your skin and stuff telling your brain. So your skin is like, hey, it's cold outside. The afferent pathway is like neurons going to the brain, telling the brain it's cold, which is the control center. The brain's the control center. And then efferent is either neurons going back to the muscles to start shivering, or I don't know, maybe pushing blood somewhere else, or keep pushing blood back into the vital organs. There's a ton of different stuff that the brain can do. So usually the afferent travels through blood and different hormones and things. And then the effector would be the actual effect. So either the shivering of the muscle or the vasoconstriction or whatever it may be. And then you have from the effector to the receptor like this. This is feedback. I'll just do feedback. And so feedback happens from the effector is being affected now, right? The muscles are shivering or whatever. So if it starts to do it, then it will communicate back to the receptor, that like the skin and stuff. And the skin will be like, okay, and now it's a little bit more doable. Like now we can maybe actually stay outside a little longer in the 20-degree temperature. But being shirtless in 20-degree temperature is probably not the best idea. So when let's come back to this chart, and we're going to talk about positive and feedback, or positive feedback and negative feedback loops. So right here, this is what the body mainly does, but sometimes there's problems in the body, and that's kind of why we have medicine, right? and hospitals and all these things. So this is just normal. You know, the body's going to go below and it's going to go above, and it's going to go below, it's going to go above, you know, over and over again. But sometimes something happens, right? Sometimes hypothermia happens, hyperthermia happens, and that's not good. So say it's January and it's 20 degrees outside. For some reason, you decide to go swimming in a river, and that river is full of water that is at probably 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And your body, once you get out of it, there's some wind, it's still 20 degrees outside, the sun's still down because it's wintertime. Your body might go to hypothermia, right? And so this is what we're going to call positive feedback. Because this right here is negative feedback. Any of these are negative feedback because the body, let's just explain it pretty simply. Negative feedback is the body's way to maintain its ability to go to set point. So whatever it is, it could be temperature, it could be oxytocin levels, it could be whatever it is. And so it's just the body's ability to regain to a set point. So all these arrows I'm drawing are negative feedback, which is kind of weird because like negative usually means something negative, right? But so now let's give like a example 1, example 2, put a line through here. So there's the set point is still the same right here because we're still explaining hypothermia, and eventually the body kind of starts doing this. And the body will try to push itself back up, but eventually it won't. And that's what positive feedback is. Something's broken that's not helping the body go back. So I don't know if hypothermia is probably the best example because I don't 100% know if hypothermia is a thing, but something I do know, let's keep the same graph, but let's do oxytocin levels in a lady that's about to give birth. I don't know, I erased that, but that's still time. So I don't know what the normal levels are, but let's just say this is a set point. Now, a normal lady will have oxytocin levels going like this. Like I said again, there'll be a range and a set point. But say this lady is 9 months pregnant and it's time for a baby to come, right? What the body will do, because oxytocin plays a significant role in birth, right? Without oxytocin, birth wouldn't be able to happen. So we have a stimulus, right? And that's the baby pushing. And so it's like kind of like a stretch, right? And then the receptor would be the cervix that the baby's kind of pushing on. And then the afferent would be like the neurons and stuff going to the brain saying, hey, like, this is what's going on in the cervix. Control center would also be the brain. Usually the control center, most of the time, is the brain. But it does change sometimes. Neurons in the brain, hey, like, the baby's kind of pushing on the cervix, like, some stretch is happening. The efferent would be like the brain being like, okay, like, so let's start sending oxytocin through the blood. That's how oxytocin travels. So it goes through the blood. And then the effector would be the uterus. Right? This whole thing is so that the baby could start getting pushed out. And so you got this feedback loop from the uterus to the cervix. And the baby keeps pushing on it. Oxytocin keeps flooding in. But it's kind of abnormal that everything stretches so big. Like 10 centimeters is a lot. So that's when positive feedback comes into play. So this is oxytocin levels. The baby starts pushing on, stretch starts happening, oxytocin levels are going to skyrocket. But they're going to keep going past set point, and they're going to keep going past set point until eventually the this line is going to change and go up here, and then it will stay up here for a while until the baby is born, and then oxytocin eventually will decrease, and then this line will be reestablished. So that's kind of positive feedback right here. Right here is not positive feedback, but right here is positive feedback because the body will still do negative feedback within here to keep it at a set point. The set point will just move. So positive feedback is moving away from the set point. I think that's the easiest way to be able to explain that. And I explain negative feedback, just the body's way of making sure we could remain at set point. I haven't done a YouTube video in a while, so that's why this was kind of choppy, but see you next time.